Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. Guys, I'm finally getting back to my roots. I'm finally returning to the things that make me feel great, and that is 1v1 games, TA Escalation, the true display of skill, the matchup that determines the god gamers of the Escalation community. These games which are representative of the best RTS ever made, Total Annihilation, and I am happy to bring you some more Escalation content. 2 games in 1 day, my friend. 2 casts in 1 day. I've done it for you because I am so generous, and you know what? I'm happy to do it because I want you guys to enjoy this game as much as I do. I want you to appreciate how great these players are. EXE and Race, 2 of the very best. These 2 love to duke it out over and over. They have their own distinctive styles, their own distinctive strengths and weaknesses, which is why I love casting them. I love bringing you the matchup between these 2 titans, these skillful gods. I am so excited to see how this match pans out. Let me introduce the players. They don't really need much introduction, but for some of my new viewers, here in blue, the ARM player, this is Race. He is quite a legend in his own right. And Race, of course, known for his extremely reliable and overwhelming macro play in which he will simply crush you under the weight of his sheer numbers and economic superiority. And of course, EXE, here in red, our Russian god, the air master, whose strategy, well, it depends on the game. You just never really know what you're going to get from him. But I love casting these 2 players. And also, this is on a map that I've never casted before. It seems like these 2 have never even played on this map. It is called Plumes of Doom. So, overall, this is a pretty open map, with the exception of these 2 plateaus. One in the north and one in the south. And there's plenty of metal to be had, I think. But yeah, this might offer some interesting gameplay. One other tidbit I do want to offer is that this replay is actually happening live. We are witnessing this replay as it is occurring in real time. So I want you guys to appreciate that I'm bringing you the live content. This is real time. Real-time strategy, right? This is happening in real time. And right now, it is a pretty even game. I can't say who's ahead. Both players beginning to take control of their respective plateaus. But, yeah. On a map like this, the early game will be important. Like, it does depend on which team, which player, in this case, can gain a foothold on the map, get more done with their early raiding attempts. And right now, it does look like EXE perhaps being a little bit more of the aggressor. He's got a couple storms, and of course I said storms are king of T1. If microed correctly, they can outrange almost anything. And they do a lot of damage over time. So I like the EXE is mixing some of these into his composition. And the battle here at the south of the map continuing to rage as these 2 players jockeying for position, fighting for territory, just trying to get the run of the map as they can, trying to claim as much territory as they can early on to get that advantage over their opponents. Now, Race already doing what Race does best. He's on 2 K-Bot labs, pumping out units faster than the speed of light. At this point, it looks like only Pee-wees. I don't see anything else. But one thing I do want to mention is that I think these plateaus, you could get thuds and hammers to walk up these. So the thuds and the hammers have a very impressive ability to traverse steep terrain. And so we'll have to see if this game that does come into play. Now, Race has attempted to create a bit of a choke point here. He's got a few LLTs, and the solar collectors acting as de facto walls, or makeshift walls. So I really like what Race did here. That could have been a disastrous push by EXE, but Race totally prepared for that with this really nice defensive position. And one thing you'll notice is that this is all very calculated by Race, so he's trying to build this so that it covers as much area as possible, because he could have just built the light laser towers and solars here to just completely cut that off. But this is intentional. He's leaving a space here for his units to go through. It reminds me a little bit of a StarCraft. If you guys ever watched StarCraft 1 or 2, the Terran and Protoss players will build their walls so that there's like a tiny space for like a Zealot or a Marine to stand in to actually block the wall, to actually complete the wall. That's so that their units, the Terran and Protoss units, can move through and they're not walling themselves off. So there's a similar idea here. Race could have blocked this off, but then it would have prevented passage through this area. And also, by building it further south, he's covering a wider area here. See, he's covering all of this. EXE is going to struggle to enter into basically the top half of this, of the center. He'll have to try to come through the south. Whereas if Race had built his defenses up here, then 3/4 of this would still be accessible by EXE. So this is all very calculated. It's very good strategy by Race. And it looks like wind on this map must be terrible because both players are just spamming out those solar collectors. But now Race is on the offense, and that's not too surprising because Race has a better army at this moment. I think he's got lots of Rockos. EXE, he's on 3 K-Bot labs, not going into vehicles or air, which is a little surprising for EXE, but both players on 3 K-Bot labs, both players in the maximum T1 production style of play, and they want to make sure they don't get overwhelmed. The thing is, if you get enough Rockos, like I said, it kind of counters everything on T1. There's really no vehicle that can deal with it. They can kite flashes, they can kite stumpies and instigators, and obviously levelers and javelins. So you do tend to see these situations where it will become a Rocco storm war. But I really like the look at the position of these light laser towers. So expert, hitting from the north and the south. And EXE with the beautifully timed flank there, bringing his storms behind to try to cut these off. So EXE expertly defending this, and EXE, he's got some bank left over, so EXE may transition into T2 pretty soon, or air, but I would assume that EXE will probably be headed into the advanced K-Bot lab sooner rather than later, and then we will see some pyros if we're lucky. So Race, okay, so Race not content just to build a small defensive position, he's actually constructed a Guardian, and that probably accounts for where all Race's metal went. So Guardians are very expensive early on. Let's see how much they cost. 2,000 metal. So that's basically the cost of a, let's see. Well, it's a little less than an advanced K-Bot lab, but it's 2/3 of an advanced K-Bot lab. So that's a huge investment. That's where most of Race's resources are at the moment. And that's probably why EXE still probably has a few thousand metal to spare, because he did not build a Punisher on his side. So this Guardian is now cutting off a large area. It's probably more than that. Let's see. Let's get the actual... Oh, whoa. It's way further than I thought. It's all the way over here. This is how far it can reach. So very impressive by Race. He's cut off a huge area of the map. And I like what Race is doing here. He's controlling the middle. He's taking the middle for himself. And he's slowly choking EXE out of the map into his own little corner. He's containing him on the west side. So I like this play. An early Guardian can be a trap if you build it, like, for example, if you were to build it back here, it's just a waste of resources, and a lot of times you would just rather tech up to T2, invest all those resources into, you know, better economy, better units. But now Race has firm control of the center, and from here he can kind of use the bot and melee, or the Mott and Bailey technique, where he pushes out from the center, deals damage, and then if necessary he can just retreat into his defenses. It's very difficult for EXE to deal with because he can't ignore a Race, but he also can't really counterattack him that well. And Race attacking on two fronts, distracting EXE a little bit. He's included warriors into this composition. The warrior and Escalation exclusive, well, I guess in Escalation it's a T1 unit. In Protea it's T2, but in Escalation it is a T1.5 unit, as in you build them on T1, but they are much stronger than other T1 units. They can still be kited by storms very well, like I said. But if they can get in range, they kill just about anything on T1 in mere seconds. Their Gauss cannons are fast firing and deadly. These storms will wither under the pressure. And now EXE might lose this Geo. He will lose it. That's a crippling blow to EXE's energy economy. He will lose about 350 right there. So again, I like what a Race is doing. I mentioned earlier that hammers might come into play because I think they can just... Look at that. They can just traverse these hills as if they're nothing. They can just walk up and down these steep terrains. That is a unique feature of the hammer. And I like that Race is actually utilizing that in this game, actually utilizing it defensively. And they will also be able to take care of this Gat, I think, if they can get vision of it. Right now they're going to be a little out of range. As you can see, they lose vision pretty quickly. The storm's coming in to assist. Here in the south, it looks like EXE has taken control of his plateau. But ooh, I like what Race is doing with these tossers. The tosser, the T1 mobile artillery. This is also an Escalation exclusive unit. As you can see, they shoot their volley way into the sky. It's perfect for this situation. And by the way, Race does not have vision of this. He's simply targeting the metal spots to try and hurt EXE's economy. But once again, good use of hammers here. I really like Race's Mott and Bailey technique. I really like what he's doing here. He's slowly inching forward with Guardians. He's making more and more of the map inaccessible to his opponent. And even building Sentinels as well, so he's defending this. He's not doing anything too risky, because the Sentinels will make this very hard to attack. Now, EXE building his own plasma cannon here. But can he do it in time? I don't know. EXE now bringing thuds of his own into the fray. The only problem with the tossers, guys, is that they are pretty much completely useless in combat. The tosser is very good against stationary targets. They pretty much can't hit anything that's moving, because the bullets take so long to actually land. They'll miss everything. So EXE able to make some headway into Race's base, but I don't think 4 thuds will get a massive amount accomplished. Maybe some economic damage and just being annoying. But now EXE has finished his Punisher, and that will begin to put pressure onto Race's plateau. Oh my god, and EXE is on T2. How did this happen? Here he is. He's on T2, so he's pumping out Goliaths. Oh man, and spearheading this attack with Goliaths. Storms in the back line. What a wonderful composition here. He will take out that Sentinel almost instantly. Race using his Rockos as a wall here. Try to stop those Guardians, but... or try to stop the Goliaths. But man, I really love this. You usually do not see Goliaths being the first unit pumped out of a core T2 factory, because they are so expensive and slow. But in this situation, EXE masterfully choosing to build them, taking out the Punisher and the Guardian here in the front, but he needs to take out the second Guardian or this area is still going to be inaccessible. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. No, I think the Goliaths are going to die, but there are still a few storms left. One Goliath has survived. It misses its shot. I think this Guardian's going to live. So, this is expertly done by both sides. Like, there's so much going on here that's so impressive. Like, the fact that Race built another line of Guardians and HLTs means that even if this one dies, he still had this one, and he lost this HLT, but the Guardian is kept alive. So even EXE's amazing composition there of Goliaths and Storms was not enough to break Race's defense. So very, very nicely done by both players, but especially by Race. He basically had enough redundancy there. He had a contingency plan. The arm contingency, if you will. And that Guardian now being repaired. I'm sure this thing... 23 kills. It's already inflicted so much damage. Already at full or close to full veterancy. 2 more kills and it will be at full veterancy. So EXE now going into air. Of course, it looks like right now just construction aircraft, no bombers as of yet. And Race being very annoying with these tossers still. But okay, Race still definitely in the better position here. He still has control of the middle with this single Guardian, 23 kills to its name. It's up to EXE to try to break this if he can. But EXE also sieging the top as well with his Punisher and these Reapers. We've got to keep an eye on this Guardian because it will now be much harder to kill now that it has full veterancy. 5 levels of veterancy means this thing will have quite a bit more health than usual. But I don't think that EXE has enough to stop this. He's just he's kind of running past the defenses, or trying to. But Race has built an impressive wall, and these Reapers are just going to be kind of thrown into the meat grinder. Those are going to die very quickly. Even the upgraded Geo is participating. Building an Orion, the upgraded HLT as well. So the game is still very close though. These thuds, quite an annoyance. They've made it all the way back here and have taken out a couple mexes. But overall, what a crazy game. This has just been kind of a siege warfare on both sides. This Punisher still alive for EXE, and then Race has his own Guardian. But EXE has built another Punisher as well here on the ridge of the south side. The problem is he needs vision. I don't think EXE has vision, so the Punisher isn't going to be much use unless it has targets. He's going to have to build something to let him see what he's shooting at. And Race will be attempting to kill this Punisher as quickly as possible. He knows that that is a threat and a huge investment as well. But EXE attempting to chase him off as the battle continues to rage on multiple fronts. Race also will be targeting this Punisher for sure, as he knows that that is a target of opportunity. It looks like EXE was able to push him off in the south, but here in the north, a much more fearsome opposition. Bulldogs, hammers, and Roccos. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be close. He is targeting the Punisher, kind of ignoring the Gat right now. I don't know if that's the right call. If he could take out the HLT first, it would help him survive a little bit. But I do think this Punisher is going to go down. He has enough. And now I think EXE with that will begin to crumble. EXE is now on advanced K-Bots, so he will start pumping out some cans. And that will be a nice defensive unit. Try and push Race out of his territory. But this Southern Punisher still under pressure. The Bulldogs and Tossers giving it hell. It's under a withering amount of carnage here. Doing its best to defend itself, but he's trying to repair it. Can he repair it fast enough? No, his construction vehicle dies, and so now there is nothing left, and that Guardian will go down. So EXE loses both of his Guardians, losing all of his long-range warfare. All of his plasma defense is gone, and with that, Race firmly in the lead. It is now Race's game to lose, as EXE scrambling to build enough units. Now that most of his defenses have been destroyed, he's scrambling to build enough of an army to protect himself. Will it be enough though? EXE still, from what I can tell, only building construction aircraft. I don't see any bombers or any plan to go into T2 air just yet. Obviously that could change. And it looks like Race has done all of this just on one advanced vehicle plant so far, building his own construction vehicles, his construction aircraft. Oh, and now he has an ambusher. So this situation is sort of going from bad to worst for EXE. The issue is EXE could, of course, defend himself, maybe, but he'll never be able to push this with what he has. Race is just taking complete control of the middle. And like I've said in previous casts, Total Annihilation is a bit like chess. If you can control the middle of the board, it will give you a very good strategic position. I like this Orion too. You know, Race, a masterclass this game on defensive positioning and posturing. And of course, not much air defense by Race, but he doesn't really need it. EXE has not shown any interest in going into advanced air just yet. But yeah, it does feel a bit like the walls are closing in on Mr. EXE. The problem is that he can only really defend. He cannot attack. If he comes anywhere near the middle, he will just be shelled to death, and that's already happening. So Race has tilted the odds in his favor tremendously with his impressive use of defenses, and now this Bulldog push with a few tossers in the background. It's just so hard for EXE to do much of anything. The Bulldogs will push through, and I don't think EXE can stop this. There's just not enough here. These Bulldogs are very damn hard to kill. There is a geothermal power plant that's with a riot control cannon, but that advanced cable lab is going to go down. No question. EXE doing the best he can to try to nano block himself into a slightly better position, but No, the advanced K-Bot Lab does live. He's trying to repair it. He's doing his best to build windmills to try to block the shots, but no, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Race has achieved his goal. The target has been eliminated. The Geo and the advanced K-Bot Lab, they have been deleted. And now EXE, he is in a terrible position. Like I said, if you're in this position as a player, one thing you can do is try to catch your opponent off guard. Like if you have an inferior army, perhaps you can try to go around their defenses or force them to retreat with your own attack, giving you some time to recover. But the problem is, Race has not really left any avenues for EXE to attack. All of this is now being defended. And the best that EXE can hope for is just to try to survive, but that just means he's playing not to lose. He's not playing to win anymore. He's in a position that's pretty unenviable. He's economically way behind Race at 160 metal per second, and EXE, it looks like it's fluctuating a little bit, but it looks like he's maybe at 100 or less. So EXE trying to rebuild these advanced K-Bot labs, but again, that's so expensive and it takes so much time. And meanwhile, Race will be pumping all of his metal into actual units and defenses. So we'll have to see what Race wants to do, because again, the game isn't over. Race has to strike the killing blow, but at this point it is going to be harder and harder because he has cut off so many areas of the map, all these defenses. EXE though, with 2 Punishers up here, being a nuisance, they will make it difficult for Race to expand, and at the very least claim these metal spots. But right now, I don't see EXE doing anything too spectacular. I'd like to see perhaps like a tactical nuke could be wonderful in this situation. Or T2 air, as Race's air defense is pretty lackluster at this point in the game. EXE may not know that, but some well-timed rapiers or hurricanes could be game-ending or game-changing at the very least. So right now, though, I think Race is in a position where it's his game to lose. All he has to do is find a way to push in and close the walls around EXE, but we can't count EXE out ever. You never know what the Russian Maverick will come up with. You never know. He has won crazier games than this, and he's won crazier games than this against Race. So let's not count him out just yet. He's got to find a way. I like this Doomsday Machine here. He is making this southern approach difficult or impossible to even come near. Oh yeah. These Punishers in range of some of these Mohos. EXE just sending scouts over. Have not missed any attacks. These are just Finks. But he's looking for targets for his Punishers there. And he's trying to buy himself some time. Race has upgraded his advanced vehicle plant to T2, or to he's upgraded his advanced vehicle plant. That's why the Bulldogs have 3 barrels. But again, I like what EXE's doing. He is trying to keep Race busy. He's got to give himself a chance to recover. He's still behind economically, and obviously he's behind in terms of map control. He has almost no defenses in the middle at all. The middle is totally open. But Race is just really not able to close out the game. Race is not able to take advantage of this immense victory that he's won in the middle. And now EXE pushing through the north with some Mortys. So EXE, never one to just roll over and die. He is fighting back. He is pushing on every front that he can. The northern front is a little less defended, but how much will this actually get accomplished? The Mortys do climb up the plateau, but there is a Guardian waiting. At the very least, this will be annoying. And EXE also attacking in the south with some Goliaths. But, oh my god, Race just has way too much defense. Like, I feel bad because EXE is clearly trying a counterattack to slow down his opponent. But the issue being that Race has so much defense that EXE basically just threw his units away and just gave Race some free reclaim. And now EXE will have even less to defend himself with when Race does inevitably push, bringing Merles into the mix. I like that Race is building an anti-nuke as well, in case EXE does try some tactical nuke shenanigans. But holy cow, 5 Punishers here. Look at this, EXE completely cutting off the southern corner of the map, or trying to. But the Merles are here, and the Merles, they are specifically designed for such a situation. Targeting down all this static defense from a massive range away. EXE doing what he can. I don't think it's going to be enough though. That Doomsday Machine is as good as gone. Somehow surviving a couple more shots, but how much longer can it survive? There it goes. There's some fighting in the north. I like that Race is building the upgraded shooters here. They're good in a variety of situations. But once again, Race with the superior army here. The triple barrel bulldogs. And some Roccos and shooters as well. And all of this is simply going to roll through the north. Basically uncontested. I don't see that EXE has much of anything up here. He's got a few pulverizers. He's going to have to bring more if he wants to stop this. Still sending scouts over, still trying to make use of his plasma cannons. This one Bulldog has 11 kills. So this has become an existential threat for EXE. I mean, yes, he probably will stop this eventually, but at what cost? Right now he's losing Moho mines. He's losing all his air defense up here. This has just been an incredibly effective push by Race. And EXE looks to be crumbling, as his metal economy will certainly take a hit after that one. He's got a ton of construction aircraft, but right now it doesn't seem like he has a solid plan on how to win this game. Right now he's just trying to survive. Sometimes that's all you can do. But I think Race, he is now teched into the upgraded penetrators as well. Still pumping out Merles. And oh yes, oh you love to see it. Race has added some long-range plasma cannons to his game plan and also working on an advanced aircraft plant. So I like what Race is doing here. This push in the top left is now moving south, and it just feels unstoppable. This one Bulldog, 17 kills already. Oh man, it just feels like EXE can't deal with this. Bringing his commander, but now his commander might be in trouble. He's got to stay away from that Bulldog. very annoying to deal with. It's just that small attack force was enough to absolutely cripple EXE's economy. And that's so annoying. So, yeah, ultimately, EXE is still in it, but Race is pulling ahead further and further. These Punishers being very annoying, but not much else. And of course, Race now with the Bertha adding insult to injury. I don't know what it's targeting exactly. Might be targeting the Punishers or something. We'll try to keep an eye on the long-range plasma cannon. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's shooting at, but Race has multiple paths towards victory. He can push through the top. He already knows that works. He, of course, has his Bertha. And finally, we did see that he's going into advanced aircraft. So that is another way to win the game if you were to build some Brawlers or Phoenixes. That could be more than enough to close this out, as EXE already stretched to his limit, already spread so thin. And the Bertha with the advanced aircraft plant just pumping out Hawks, and now I think perhaps Race feels that all he needs to do is prevent EXE from okay, so EXE almost on T3, he says. But that might be a deception. I don't see any T3 lab. I never saw EXE even try to go T3. In fairness, Race is just wondering where EXE's army is or what he's spending his metal on, but EXE just doesn't really have the energy economy to use his metal right now. I don't think he ever built a proper fusion. He was just building a ton of the micro fusions. And so he just was never... I don't think he has enough energy to really use all of his resources. Where Race is on 12,000 energy, and EXE will finally tap out. So guys, that was a good game, but I appreciate what EXE tried to do there, but Race slowly choked him out. I mean, what Race did was he slowly took parts of the map and made them basically made them no man's land for EXE. Like, EXE just could not enter the center of the map, and then he cut off the top of the map, and then he just slowly pushed them, and that's Race's style. So nice job by both players. EXE in the end had even a better score, but Race just played it better. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next cast.